Alright, here we are for round number 1 with Bogles. We're playing against Vetman 007. I think I've played against Vetman before. So we got an interesting hand here. It's very good if we find a white mana, otherwise it's going to be a little slow. I am going to keep it. You can't be too picky with this deck. If you've got a hexproof guy and something to stick on it, you usually are kind of stuck with it. Okay, against Tron. Just go ahead and double up on this guy. I believe the new Tron decks are much better against our deck than the Marasa Tron deck was. The Dinrova Tron is just a lot stronger against Bogles because fog effects are so good against us. Alright, that's a pretty bad draw. So I have to decide if I want to put out this Glade Cover Scout here. I don't know which version of Tron my opponent's on yet. If they're on Marasa Tron, they might have main deck Electrickery, and I really don't want to run into that. There's not a whole lot of reason to get out the one more power. I'm guessing they'll almost certainly play a creature next turn that I can't attack through with this Glade Cover Scout. However, if I play it now, that means that I can attack into a Seagate Oracle or a Muldrifter with this one, and then dump both Rancors on my other scout next turn. It is nice that we hit a land right on time. We were able to get in damage a little faster, but if we don't draw a white mana, we're just going to be kind of casting these same spells over and over. Hopefully they don't just have Natural Tron plus Prophetic Prism. I consider that to be the nut draw for Tron deck, especially if they can play a Muldrifter. If they have to search it out and stuff, it's not quite so bad, but yeah, this is unfair. Like, how is this fair? They have 7 mana plus a color, all on turn 3. Alright, but they've got nothing, so it looks like they're going to be casting a fog effect. I'll definitely discard this Ancestral Mask when I get hit by a Dinrova Horror next turn. So, one thing I didn't really mention in the deck tech is the reason why I don't really like playing Bogles. It's a strong deck. I played against it a lot yesterday. I think I played 2 leagues and I played against it. Out of my 10 matches, I played against it 5 times. So it was everywhere. But the main reason I don't like playing Bogles is I don't get to make any decisions basically the whole time. Like, I don't get to outplay my opponents in any way. So if my opponent doesn't have an untapped colored source, then if I draw a land, we should probably win. Looks like they've just got like kind of the best possible draw against us as long as they have a tower. Okay, they don't have a tower, so they can't flash us back, but if they have another one, we're done for anyway. I'm going to play this out. Just going to attack with the 1, and then I'll, if they block, I'll just double Rancor up this guy. I'm guessing they're just going to let this happen, and then they'll probably prohibit one of these Rancors, which isn't great for me, but it is what it is. If we get hit by an Electrickery here, it's pretty much over, but now I have to decide if I want to play into Condescend here. I think prefer they Condescend this Rancor. Yeah, I don't know, all this stuff's like pretty predictable that we're going to get countered here, but at the same time, like, what am I going to do, right? Like, I'm going to run into that next turn. It's not like they're not going to be able to hold up 2 mana next turn. It's possible I shouldn't have done it just so they couldn't scry, but the upside's pretty high if they don't have it, that I can get the Rancor down and then get this Mask down next turn. So, best draw here, I don't know. I don't think we have any outs anymore, so we really needed to draw an untapped land. Well, even an untapped land that turn would have just gotten an Ancestral Mask Condescended. I think we lost already. So you can kind of see why I don't necessarily like this deck. I don't think that we can do anything at all for the rest of the game. Like, I don't think we'll be able to get in any damage, and we won't be able to interact with our opponent in any way. So, yeah, they're discarding a Capsize, which is already like a pretty decent card against us. If they have really, really bad draws and they can't find more fog effects, we could have a chance, but I would guess that they're going to have at least probably 5 more fogs in a row before they run out, would be my guess. I'd be very surprised if they had less than that many. So I'm assuming this will probably resolve because it's not lethal, and then they'll take this. Oh, they shouldn't fog here. You should basically never... Okay, they're teachings. They still shouldn't fog here. So like I said, we're going to have to fight through at least 5 fogs. What they've already played this turn represents 5 fogs. So I don't like this. They should just take this and go to 2. Like, what am I going to do? You know? How am I going to kill them from 2? So now they just have 1 less fog, and basically every attack that I make for the rest of the game is going to have... is going to be lethal, whereas this turn was not lethal, so they basically just threw a fog away. I don't mind teachings for fog, but I wouldn't have played it. But it is what it is. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, Mnemonic Wall, get back Ghostly Flicker. Oh, Capsize. Capsize is fine. I would probably pick up the Ghostly Flicker personally, but they might have a Ghostly Flicker already. Well, I'll play another one. See, now I do have lethal this turn, and they have to cast something, whereas last turn they didn't have to cast anything. Okay, there goes 1 Moment's Peace. Yeah, so the deck doesn't play a single interactive card at all. Unfortunately, I'm just playing the stock Bogles list. If I were playing the 5-color list, we would actually have a pretty decent matchup post board here. But we don't have a decent matchup post board because the 5-color deck plays Flaring Pain. So Flaring Pain is a card that says damage can't be prevented this turn, and that can be pretty important against the all fog deck. So and it has flashback, so you can cast it twice. So even if they fog, then counter. I don't know. People normally aren't expecting it. So I'm going to concede here. I don't have time for this. So Mnemonic Wall is going to get back Ghostly Flicker, and then they'll be able to flicker both walls and get back Moment's Peace every turn for the rest of the game. So we're dead there. I don't have any. I have 0 interactive spells in the whole deck, so can't deal with that at all. There's not really much to add. This is kind of like the sideboard doesn't really account for this deck. I don't really know exactly what you should be playing in the metagame right now other than Snow-Go. So I took Snow-Go to a 5-0 yesterday because I played a league where I played against 3 Bogles and 2 Tron decks, and Snow-Go is great against both those decks. So I played Snow-Go to pretty easy 5-0 in the next league, playing against two Tron decks and 2 Bogles decks. And these are the 2 decks that I think are really popular right now. I haven't seen Stompy. I've now gone 13 leagues without facing Stompy 1 time. So that's 65 matches in a row. So let's see. None of this stuff really does anything, you know. Dawn Charm doesn't really do anything. Cartouche of Strength maybe. Standard Bearer doesn't do much. All they have are fogs, and I don't have any way to deal with a fog. So the only thing I could consider bringing in is a Gleeful Sabotage and maybe a Cartouche to like tutor up. Gleeful Sabotage is okay because it can cut off their colored sources, and they don't have that many. And I think I'll bring it in just because none of our cards do anything, so I'd like to take out 1 Cartouche. I don't think they have any hate, at least. I haven't seen any. And I also kind of want to reduce the number of tokens I have, because Dinrova Horror making us pick up a token is really bad. It's possible I should just not sideboard at all, but I am going to do this. And then I think I'll take out an Armadillo Cloak. Trample's not that important. It's really expensive, and life gain isn't important either. So let's go with this. Would I like to play first? Yes, I would. So this hand would be great if we had any hexproof creatures, but we do not. So I'm going to have to mulligan that. I'm going to have to mulligan this one too. This is another downside of this deck is... Oh, jeez. I'm going to keep this and hope to scry a green source to the top. Yeah, I got to keep it on top. It's pretty slow, though. We're probably going to lose this game. We basically need to kill them by turn 4, I would say, most of the time. Getting punished for this one plains for sure. Alright, so okay, my opponent has a signet. So that's why I brought in the sabotage. We're drawing pretty well out of this mulligan, but at the same time, if our opponent just gets Tron by like turn 5, we're gonna be toast. This is the benefit of, oh, never mind. If this were a Seagate Oracle, that would really be a good reason for this Ledgewalker. I think I want to draw an Ethereal Armor here. It's basically what I want to draw every turn. It's like the best card. Okay, didn't draw it. Let's go ahead and play that. I'm going to name green. I don't think I need any more white. Doesn't particularly matter though. I don't believe that my opponent will have an Edict effect, so I'm not going to play this Boggle out. At least not yet. Like, I could have played Boggle plus Rancor. I think it's way more likely that they have Electrickery, though. Okay, let's go ahead and play both of these. I'm going to play the Cartouche first. I want to, like, bait out a counterspell if he really wants to play one. Okay. So we do put ourselves in a kind of bad spot against Dinrova Horror here, if I play this Boggle out. Because I have no qualms about just discarding this Boggle no matter what he makes me pick up. If I were my opponent, I would not do anything here. I'm pretty firmly against fogging in this spot. The only way I would fog here is if I had like a Muldrifter I really wanted to resolve the next turn. I just don't really see the point in preventing 6 damage when you have 18. And it looks like we're getting, he's going to cast Teachings or something. I don't know what he's casting for 5. Most of the stuff costs 4 or 2. Okay, Teachings. I assume my opponent has Serene Heart. Oh, Crop Rotation. That makes sense. So they are going to have Tron on turn 5. Which, you can't complain too much about that when the deck has a bunch of Crop Rotations and Expedition maps. Like, you can't really complain about turn 5 Tron. That's pretty slow. I only really complain about turn 3 Tron plus a color. I mean, turn 4 Tron is annoying, but what can you do? So like I said, I do kind of have an interesting choice. If I expect my opponent to play a Dinrova Horror, I would rather keep the Slippery Boggle in hand. He'll make me pick up my Warrior and I'll have to discard my Boggle, but that's not as bad as having to discard this Armadillo Cloak. I'm going to run it out though because my opponent doesn't have black mana yet. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they had it. They don't have very many untapped black sources, but they do have like 2 lands and I don't know, they've got some stuff. I'm going to attack first before playing this. I expect to get hit by a Serene Heart here, if they have it. Although I'm not sure the deck plays Serene Heart in the sideboard. It probably shouldn't. Like, I wouldn't. Against a deck that has, or if you're playing with a deck that has so many copies of fog effects, I don't think you really need to have the Serene Heart in your deck. Alright, fog number 1. I don't mind so much fogging on this turn. I mean, it's not lethal, so maybe it shouldn't, but it's not quite as bad. Capsizing my land is fine. So I'm going to keep this Utopia Sprawl because my opponent's just going to capsize my land or whatever every time. I think we've lost this game as well. I don't think there's any way we can come back at this point. My opponent has Teachings. They can Teachings for Teachings and then get 2 more Moments pieces, so they've got like 6. They have 5 more Moments pieces, and that's not including any that they get back with Mnemonic Wall. And they don't even need to cast them yet. I don't even have lethal. Okay, so they've got exactly enough mana here. Be kind of a sweet blowout if I could just kill one of those, but I can't. Yeah, I'm just attacking with the Ledgewalker. Yeah, and that's kind of the problem I'm having here is they don't even have to counter it. I run this out there, might make them want to capsize this forest again, I guess. I'm gonna put it on red to like put the fear in them. And then I'm just gonna hold this Boggle, I think. Well, if I play it, then we'll have lethal next turn if they don't play any more creatures, I guess. Sure. So, if they don't have any more creatures, they'll have to block our Ledgewalker and go to 1. Or they can just fog, of course. Alchemy. So there's definitely something to be said about playing the 5-color version, because you get the Flaring Pains in your sideboard. And obviously there's good reasons not to play this deck at all, simply because you don't get to like make any decisions or anything. I do have lethal, so I'll just attack. Don't need to play that Ethereal Armor. Like, I didn't really get to play at all. I did like no play that I made in any game made any difference, right? Like I haven't made a single play this whole match that mattered, which isn't really where you necessarily want to be all the time. And it's not like my opponent had particularly good draws, and it's not like I had particularly bad draws. I just couldn't do anything, you know? So he's either flashing back Teachings or Forbidden Alchemy. I think it would have been safe to concede this game 2 turns ago, but I'll keep playing it out for you guys, although I would probably recommend just going to the next video. My opponent's not playing the fastest. They can't quite figure out their signets and their unknown shores, which is kind of understandable. They're really not intuitive on Magic Online. Alright. What do we have next? Prophetic Prism. They got more colors online. Gonna hit me for 2 more? Sure. I'm just gonna run some of these out there. It's possible I shouldn't have tapped low on the red, just to like put the fear in my opponent. See if they counter this. No, I will not pay. I'm definitely going to hold this forest, though. It'll be a nice one to discard. Be a nice one to discard to the Dinrova Horror that's going to hit me. They put 2 cards on top, so I think it's safe to say we have no outs. Hopefully we can make them shuffle, though. That's kind of what I want to do. I don't know if they still have this Moment's Peace or not, but evidently they have one at least. Alright, 1 down. We've gotten through 3 casts of Moment's Peace, so we only have to get through 5 more, plus all the ones they get with Mnemonic Wall, so not too bad. Mulldrifter staying back. So unfortunately, this Mulldrifter can just kill any of my creatures that attack. Even this one, I'm sure he can like double. Just gonna keep attacking though. But he can probably bounce like Ethereal Armor plus the Cartouche, I assume at this point. And trade. Certainly doesn't need to fog. Ray of Revelation, huh? that makes it easy. Most of these decks play Serene Heart, not Ray of Revelation, but Ray of Revelation makes more sense in this this fog deck because you don't need any sideboard cards against Bogles. Like the matchup is so good that it just doesn't even matter. Yep. Sure. Taste it. We dealt him more damage. Now it might look like we have a chance because opponent's down to 1 card, but they have 2 copies of Teachings in their graveyard and they have a Forbidden Alchemy, so they actually have a lot of cards. Oh no. What do I do with my water? Well, I'm gonna be thirsty. Those of you who watch my videos know that I get thirsty. Well, while we're sitting here, I can just update my my record here to 0-1. Alright, we got another land. It's just attack. They do have to cast something, so we don't win. Fortunately, they can just capsize a Rancor and we don't have lethal. It's really not going to take much. Alright, there we go, updated. We're 0-1. Yep. And our opponent can counter that on the way down if they want. If they have an Electrickery, if they play an Electrickery, I will concede. I don't need to. Okay, they don't have it. Not that it matters what they have at this point. So they're kind of playing this how I would, where they're saving their moments pieces as much as possible. And I appreciate that. That's just good play. I don't really like bouncing the Rancor. The Rancor doesn't really matter. I think my opponent should probably just hit my lands. Well, do have lethal, so no reason not to just attack with these guys. Can't bounce these. So my opponent's pretty much got a fog here anyway. So they probably should have just bounced, like they have to fog for the rest of the game anyway, so the Rancor doesn't matter. I'm gonna run the Rancor out. This is my counterspell bait. Okay, it didn't work. I'm gonna play this guy too. What do you guys think I should get? I don't have anything that matters. I could get Abundant Growth to draw a card. I get some more of this, like some more of these big enchantments or whatever. I think I'll just rather draw a card. I think I only have the 1 piece of interaction anyway, which is my Gleeful Sabotage, and I guess I'd rather try drawing that. Oh, never mind. The problem with Abundant Growth is they just bounce the land I'm targeting, and then I don't get to draw a card. So I guess I don't want to do that. Let's go ahead and just get something that's easy to cast. Maybe just a Rancor. I get an Ethereal Armor. I'll just stick it right on that Boggle. So opponent has 2 more moments pieces chilling in their graveyard. So in theory we should have 1 fewer land at this point. Alright, let's see if my opponent's looking for a counterspell or something. They put 3 lands in the graveyard, so they might have missed. Who knows? Okay. They don't have enough to capsize us. In fact, they don't really have enough to do any of this stuff. They don't have enough to Teachings again or anything. Unless they have a Teachings in their hand. I have no idea what's going on here. Like I said before, you guys, I would have recommended that you move on to the next video since we definitely lost. Playing against a pretty slow player who's got this really janky like Moto interface. mana base, unfortunately for them. They're trying to make all these colors and it's just not agreeing with them. Maybe they don't know how much mana they have. Like maybe they think they have 6, but they really only have 5. Playing against opponents like this makes me wish I were playing like Snowgo or Teachings, because typically time out opponents like this who take this long. Yeah, this is pretty rough. This is pretty hard to watch at this point. Okay, they figured it out that they don't have enough mana to do anything, because this bad boy costs 6 mana, not 5. If they had a crop rotation, then, you know, they could have used their floating mana for something. Now they do have enough mana to flash it back. So you need my opponent to draw only lands for like 6, probably 6 draws in a row. No, they give up. They gave up on their teachings. Too hard to do the tapping. This is going to be a mess too, because it looks like they're trying to cast a Dinrova Horror, and they should tap this and this plus this to do it. But they'll get it eventually. Yep, they figured it out. So there's a, like, this is kind of why I've been keeping like one land in my hand all the time. I expect them to flicker this at some point, but what can you do, right? So my opponent has another what's it called? They have Capsize, but they can't actually, they just have to fog this turn anyway if I attack with everything. Unless they have a Pulse of Marasa. And if they have a Pulse of Marasa, then whatever. Okay, figured this would be happening. So how many more times do I need them to miss? They have a Capsize in hand that they cannot cast end of turn because they messed up their mana last turn. But they can flashback Teachings. Okay, they didn't. Really wish I had my water bottle. Alright, our opponent's got us 9 turn clock. Mnemonic Wall does mean we lose, I believe. I mean, we probably don't technically lose, but they can Teachings now and get Ghostly Flicker. Pretty much end our suffering at this point. I still have to attack with all 3, so my opponent can flicker this Horror and block 2 of them. Yep. I am gonna play one more creature out, because if I don't, then they don't have to fog if they play a 3rd creature. Maybe I should have brought in the fighting cartouche so I could like fight this Mnemonic Wall to death. I could have grabbed that. The problem is if I grab that instead of my Ethereal Armor, then wouldn't be able to do anything. So they grab their Flicker. They're going to be very slowly putting all my stuff back into my hand and making me discard it. Yep. And it won't be that slow. So it actually looks like if I had forced my opponent to play out game 1, they would have probably timed out. I just didn't think that was realistic, but my opponent is playing incredibly slowly. So I almost certainly could have timed them out this match. So that's if you want to get the maximum win percentage, that's what you should always do. You should always play out the whole game really long. I think I'm going to discard the Ethereal Armor, I guess. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have to... Well, I gotta decide. Neither one does anything. I'll discard the Ethereal Armor. It doesn't matter too much. They're gonna just be able to put all my lands back, so I'm not gonna be able to cast any of this stuff anyway. Yep, they should actually probably be making me pick up my forests here, because those are how I would recast this Rancor. And I'm just discarding the land no matter what anyway, so why not, right? Whatever I draw this turn, I'm probably going to keep in hand, kind of regardless of what it is. Unless, I mean, Cartouche, I guess, is okay. So I might as well, like, play these. I can always discard them if they make me pick them up. Alright, well, I don't really need to play them. They still have to fog here. Our opponent just hasn't found any creatures. It's kind of obscene, actually, how few creatures they found. But they still have a Flicker and a Teachings, so... Yep. So now I have to decide which thing I'm going to discard. I'm actually going to discard the Rancor, I think. Just kind of want to play this Cartouche here. Because why not, right? Blink. Now I got this massive force of creatures. So for those of you who didn't listen to me 10 minutes ago when I told you to turn this off, you are paying the price. Circle of Protection green. Gonna make it pretty tough for us to win here, that's for sure. I'm still just gonna attack my opponent every turn with everything I have. I do have 2 white creatures, so they have to block both of them. They do get to kill one. Let's see what this is. Are they gonna... They're probably just gonna put both these back in my hand. Alright, well, opponent, you're gonna have to bounce the land to my hand if you don't want me to draw a card. Alright, they don't care if I draw a card. And why would they, right? So let's see. They've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, so they can 1, 2, 3, plus Flicker. Whatever. Still gonna make them do it. Okay. Got my Bogles on lockdown. Blocked my Pilgrim. Darn, we didn't get him. What's he gonna put back here? Probably this forest, I would guess. Okay, putting back the Cartouche, I suppose, is not terrible. I probably shouldn't have played this land out. It would have shut off this play. Yep. So I do have an answer to this. I do have that Gleeful Sabotage, so if he like starts relying on it too much, I could get in there. Last turn my opponent could have blinked this Dinrova Horror and eaten one of my guys, but I kind of figured he wouldn't do that. Alright, what's happening here? Another Muldrifter, sure. Yeah, I totally would have timed out my opponent last game if I had played last game all the way to the end. Alright, so my opponent's got 5 mana. I'll keep that in my hand. Yeah, at this point I can't really even attack. You can just block everything, doesn't even have to use the Circle of Protection. So how long ago did I lose this game? 13 minutes ago? It's been a long time, that's for sure. That's an interesting choice to put my enter the battlefield ability creature back in my hand. I'm going to discard my Utopia Sprawl, of course. Get to F6 this turn. Almost to the point where I'm going to start chump blocking some of this stuff. I'm going to grab another cartouche, I guess, with this. See if my opponent wants to counter it. Yes, I would like to get... Oh no, I took out all my cartouches. Shucks. Well, then I might as well get an abundant growth, right? Why not? Nah, it should probably just be a Rancor. Cast a Rancor on this guy. I think this is a good turn to attack with everything. It's as good a turn as any, right? So my opponent should actually do, if they had more time, even though they don't have time, they should probably just blink these. This is a Pulsa Marasa. That's gonna make it pretty tough for us to get through. So I'll block the Dinrova Horror this turn. Darn. I don't think we're getting there, guys. I don't think we're getting there. I need like a mill 10. Alright, well. My opponent's definitely going to kill us here, and they're not going to run out of time, unfortunately. Could have definitely run them out of time if we had just made them play out the first game. So I don't always do that. Maybe I should have done it. Like, they didn't technically have us locked out this game, which is why I kept playing it. Whereas last game we were technically locked out completely. And I do like to punish people who play incredibly slowly, so sometimes I make them play it out. But we lost this game 10-15 minutes ago. I already updated the record and everything, so you can see up there, record 0-1. I'll see you guys for next round.